Hello everyone, I am Ritesh Chawla. Welcome to Face2Face series presented by UniApply. This is a candid conversation where we talk to the leaders of educational institutions and they share their insightful experience that how they are taking this journey forward, helping to uplift the society, teaching students and motivating them to do something great in their life. Today I have Dr. Priti Ojha, Principal of Delhi International School, Dwarka. Welcome ma'am.
Thank you.
So today I am going to ask a lot of questions to Dr. Ojha which will help parents to understand more about the school and the education ecosystem. So ma'am, welcome to the Face2Face series. So ma'am, I'll ask you a lot of questions which is related to schools and the education, how you are doing in school, and this will eventually help parents to learn more about your school as an institution, because it's very important for a parent when they plan to send their ward to school. It's a prolonged journey of 14 years. So we'll begin with a very basic question that if you can help us to understand the vision and mission of the founders with respect to establishing the school.
We have a very simple mission and vision. We want to make sure that the children who are willing to go ahead, we prepare paths for them. We make sure that children are exposed to the maximum experiential learning. We make sure that they do things on their own and they learn. We practice among teachers how to resist yourself and strongly keep a hold so that the children can try more experiments and they can come up with more kinds of answers. In the middle school and the senior section, we have teachers who help to create a different kind of a pedagogy in the class where they make curiosity generated among the children to make sure they're learning and they're practicing. They make sure that the child reflects from the past, concentrates and focuses in the present and plans for the future. Right. This is how they try to mend and mold the mind of the child to make themselves confident enough to face the future. Right. And intelligently tackle any situation in life. So this is what we actually try to do with the entire education system of our school.
So in fact, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions because based on how you reimagine education post this lockdown had a great impact on every sphere of the business domain, let's say the education. So I'll come to that question, but first of all, we'd like to understand that how the schools stand different from the schools in the vicinity.
We make sure that the children who come to the school have the freedom of learning. They are mostly given a choice of information that they want to go ahead with. They are also practicing what they are learning with real life examples. Right. The teachers make sure that they are confident enough to teach the children with the latest information coming in the classroom. So they have very strong professional development courses for teachers to make sure that they are the ones who will take care of the children and accommodate them with their maximum knowledge, because that is what actually is left out as a loophole in various schools where the teacher themselves want to command the whole class and not allow the children to come up with the information that they have come to share it with their friends and teachers. So This is one thing that we focus upon. We make sure that our children are participating in various kinds of assessments outside the school assessments so that the exposure for them to realize what is happening around them, what is the level of assessments, what is the level of information they should gather at a particular age is very, very informative to them. So
right.
This is what makes them different.
So basically, in fact, if I could learn from this conversation, it is two-way.
Yes, it's
right.
a two-way communication
Right.
that happens, and it is also relative to what is happening outside the school. We can't have a four-wall and we make our children do what we want them to do. We make sure that they're relating all what they're learning inside the school in a finite combination of learning to reach out to the infinite world outside. So that is supposed to be parallelly made. in the curriculum in such a way that they are trying to actually also see how it is real and helping them to learn in the outside world.
Wonderful. So this is great, but how your school is doing differently to focus the holistic learning? Because you know that in today's time, academics is of course important, because there you assess the student that how hardworking they are and what they are learning with respect to subjects. But now holistic approach is, many schools are adopting, because it's the way forward.
Yes.
So how you are taking initiative to take care of this the holistic development among your school children?
Yes. When we talk about holistic development, we don't talk only about the academics. We talk about the overall exposure of the child's personality to various kinds of situations in their life, and that starts developing among them when they realize that the environment which is given to them, they have to deal with it.
Right.
So we give them a lot of exposure to different kinds of activities in the school and outside the school. Until you don't compare your situation with another country or a state or the community, you wouldn't be able to know your strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
So this is how we make sure that what you are absolutely complete.
Right.
But what you want to become or what you want to excel in is something for which you have to practice.
Right.
And we make sure that we do not let them know that if they haven't done well, we make them feel as if they have failed. We
Right.
make them understand that you have to try a little more harder.
Right.
You have to compete with yourself again the next day. So
Right.
this is the kind of an orientation we also give to the parents and we also give to the students.
So in fact, ma'am, in the beginning of the conversation, we spoke about that, this learning gaps, that schools are doing pretty much efforts to bridge that gap. So of course, these 2 years were really difficult, approx 23 months, right?
Yes.
And now schools are reopened, students are back to school, and in fact, between these 2 years, government and in fact institution also tried to open. Then the pollution or some of the other reason was there behind the lockdown, and students were again, locked into their homes. So now they are out of those isolation. They are coming to school. They are meeting to their peer group, right? So eventually they are back to school. And of course, after a long gap, it's very difficult to adapt the situation. So I want to understand the journey, like how you are focusing, how you are comforting them, so that they can adapt really well to a culture after 2 years,
Absolutely.
right?
A very good question, because I think this was a huge struggle that the schools were going through, where they realized that the children in a system window cannot express the way we expect them to express.
Exactly.
Because the emotional aspect of the child was going into pandemic.
Right.
It was not only the physical aspect, but the emotional transition and the feeling that the child exposes themselves to various other children was actually being under a struggle phase for all of them. So
Right.
we realized that whenever the schools will open, the first thing is that we will make sure they are oriented to be resilient.
Right.
They have to realize the importance of their own strength, and they have to realize how to come out of it.
Right.
So for that, we need the children to come, create a group of children, share information what they did, and try to evaluate each other that they are all on the same boat and none of them is exceeding or going behind what they were doing while staying at home. And academics is a part which can be slowly and steadily taken care of, which
Right.
will definitely help them. But in this 1 year that the students will be now coming to schools, we will be making a blend of
Right.
emotional aspects to strengthen as well as the academic aspects to strengthen. So
Wonderful.
which will help them to intelligently face, in case another uncertainty comes,
Right.
how to deal with it.
Right.
So the world doesn't come to the end. It is basically they have to make their thoughts so positive
Right.
that they can live in any situation at that particular time. So
Right.
this is one thing that we're going ahead as a reimagining the education system for our students, teachers and parents, because we are catering to the three communities together and all the three stakeholders together.
Right.
So we want that they should be confident enough.
Right.
And this trio together should be very strong of cooperating with each other and realizing the need of the child.
So of course this is more on the academic and the probably on a emotional, and there are a lot of factors which is required to be impart in the children, right? And this is a part of academics. But of course there are operational challenges once the student are back to school, because see, we know that we have to still follow the COVID protocol. COVID is still there,
Yeah,
right? It is
yeah.
not pandemic
gone.
is not end.
Yes.
So it is still going. So we want to understand that once the student enters into the school,
Yes.
there's an entire journey that he'll get into the classroom.
Yes.
Kids will also access to the washroom areas. They will also access the canteens or the other library and the other areas of the school. So how operationally it is difficult to manage looking at the pandemic and the new normal and the COVID protocol.
Very true, because when the government announced that the schools are open with the consent of the parents, it's
Right.
very difficult for parents to trust what kind of a school building are we arranging for our children
Right.
to welcome them to the school again. So what we did was that we prepared a whole video where we told the students themselves to showcase how they're entering the school,
Right.
what are the SOPs the school is taking care of,
Right.
and they made sure that they make the school viewers visit the whole school, and that video was then recorded and sent to the parents. Parents found it acceptable, they found trustworthy, and they made sure that when the consents were sent to them, they started filling with a positive note. That brings a lot of trust in the schools in itself, because then you start preparing for the willing children to come inside the school. Then from the gate itself, we make sure that we have a temperature check. We make sure that the children are coming with their consent forms. We make sure that they are coming and taken care by their parents for pick and drop, because transportation was something again an
Right.
essential part that we didn't wanted to give it to the parents at the early stage of
Right.
school opening, because lots of children are sitting together in the bus. So that's also another challenge of social distancing. So
Right.
we made sure that when children are entering the school, they are walking at a particular distance for which we marked on the floor the way the children have to walk. We
Right.
made sure that the teachers and all the other staff members are around them to make sure they're guiding them. And when the children come to the school, they have a place to place their bags. They go into the field, they stand for assembly, they
Right.
have a social distancing among themselves,
Right.
they're wearing a mask, they're making sure they're not touching each other consciously. We keep orienting them to do that. We make sure that they have their own meals and they have their own water. We make sure that they are visiting classrooms in a queue, and they are basically going any place in the school under the vigilance of a teacher, so
Right.
that movement of children, which is obviously going to be very high when they're coming after such a long time from home. So that movement has to be taken care of. We can't stop it, but we have to be taking care of that movement. That is what we were taking care at the moment.
So Dr. Ojha, I have very important question. So other than academics, how do you engage kids? Because it is very important, because they have a sense of burden. Okay, भाई पढ़ाई हमें खूब सारी करनी है. But of course, पढ़ाई के अलावा we will have something to enjoy in the school. So how school take care other than academics?
We make sure that whatever they are doing has a purpose. So when they come in the morning, we make sure they are in an assembly.
Right.
They're making sure to look at each other.
Right.
They can do a little physical activity.
Exactly,
And
I
when they-
remember my school days in fact.
Yeah. So when they do these physical activities in the assembly, they feel very good, energetic, and they're looking forward for a great day ahead.
Right.
And then we go towards the kindergarten, because there we would like our children to have visual learning.
Right.
The walls and the teachers, the two teachers in the classroom, the same teacher who they could see on the screen. Now they're physically looking at the teacher and recognizing them, talking to them,
Right.
looking at the chairs and tables which are colorful. That helps a lot. So when children look at that teacher who they were looking on the screen, they feel surprised, they are happy, they talk, they are engaging, they are trying to again bond with them, and this beautiful scenario helps us to realize that children are actually having fun in the classroom. The same children come back to the ground, they play, the senior children play football, and they are engaged again in playing with children, and that enthusiasm to lose and win, those beautiful points to score, brings a different kind of an energy in them. When we go back in the middle school, we see that children are wanting to go into the libraries.
Right.
They were missing the books. They were missing the information that they could have read, felt,
Exactly.
reflected, summarized, comprehended, to question themselves, and to silently only learn from the text which is given in the book, which gives a different flair of
Right.
understanding to our middle school children.
In fact, in the school library, they will have a more variety of textbook which is available, whether with respect to any content which they would want to read within the school.
Learning in a library or reading in a library is such a beautiful process, because the children here have a choice
Right.
of selecting a book, keeping in front of them, reading the text, flipping those pages, understanding, marking. That entire process in itself brings so much of learning in the
Right.
child that is not measurable all the time.
Right.
It is different to different child, but that entire feel can be seen in the library when children now enter. And we also see children doing experiments in labs, which
Right.
is more engaging. They are more observant. They
Right.
have done all that online, virtually for about 1.5 years.
Right.
Coming back to the lab and doing it,
Right.
and making sure that their readings are right, their observations are right,
Right.
completing their file, talking to their friend, whether the same information is being gathered by the friend next to him or her. That helps them a lot again to engage themselves. I could see some of the children with lot of energy dancing in the dance room with the help of the teacher, guidance, the music, the rhythm. That
Right.
helps them a lot to think beyond textbooks and
Right.
beyond anything like sports, because this helps them to calm them within. So
Right.
these activities in the school gives them a feel of engaging their mind in different purposes every time they enter a room or the ground. So I
Right.
think that helps a lot. to the
Wonderful,
children.
wonderful. So, Dr. Ojha, for our viewers, I would like to ask you this question: that what is the reach of your school? Which are the area that you cater?
We take care of the whole Dwarka area.
Right,
We reach out to Janakpuri,
Right.
Rajouri Garden, Tilak
Right.
Nagar, Palam,
right,
Kapaseda,
Right.
Vikaspuri. So these are the places that we travel, and the best thing is that we have our own transport facility, because any parent wants safety and security as the most important aspect for
Right.
their child's journey to school
Right.
and back to home. When we look at this journey, the school makes sure that the four walls in which the student is safe and secure for them.
Right.
But what about their travel? What about
Exactly.
their reaching home? How are they reaching? How are they coming? So
Right.
for this, the school has made sure that we have our own transport system.
Right.
And we make sure that every transport has to have the facility of a conductor, a Didi and a teacher who
Wow.
are throughout the way from home to school and from school to home. This helps a lot for parents to have the confidence of sending the child to school. It also helps them because we also give them the GPS monitoring, and we also let them know that the students are at this particular place in case the bus has stopped for a while or any such information.
right,
We also make sure that all our conductors, drivers, Didi are police verified. Even
Wonderful.
our teaching staff is police verified. And we make sure that they are under rigorous training
Right.
of driving as well as taking care of children. We have a first aid box in our buses to make sure that in case of any emergency, an immediate help can be given to the teachers and to the other members in the bus who are traveling.
right,
We make sure that we are always making a care call to the parent in case a bus is little late or
Right.
any such thing happens. We make sure that the parent can get connected to
Right.
any one member during that time to the school, which helps them a lot to get into lesser anxiety in case of the bus any time in a year gets late or any such thing happens.
right.
So ma'am, I have another question for you, that how school adopted technology when it comes to academic delivery, because of course technology these days plays a vital role, and of course I will ask several other questions with respect to technology, but would like to know from you about the academics of technology.
Technology has been always very strong in our school from the very beginning. We had made sure that from the very first day of lockdown, the second day we were connected with our students online. We made sure that this connection is digitally done, and slowly and gradually, as the days kept moving, we made sure we are equipping our teaching methods so that it is more understood to the parents and the students. We made sure that we are connected to parents on various PTMs and various other formats where they could ask us and we could help them to connect with the student and make sure that they are able to continue with learning without any hurdle. This is how technology has helped parents and students throughout the year academically.
So that's really good to learn. But important aspect is admission. So admission during this COVID lockdown, of course, it was very difficult for every parent to come and fill the offline form. So how your school adopted technology when it comes to the online admission?
It was such a challenge for all of us because there was always a fear factor among the community to visit around and go to schools, find the best schools because they would like to see the school, they would like to meet the teachers and various other aspects help them to decide. So I think at that particular moment UniApply helped us a lot and it allowed us to let on an open platform know what are the things that is available in our school. It also helped the parent to decide whether they would be able to pay the amount of fee recognized by each school.
So ma'am, is it so difficult for a parent to choose a right school because schools are so different and the parents have to make a choice?
I feel that the parents have to realize that the child has to be given the freedom to ask questions and these questions are supposed to be answered. And when the school allows them with this exposure, in itself it becomes different for the parent community. So make sure that your children are asking and heard, and this is how every school has a mark of its own. Thank you so much.
So it was a wonderful learning with Dr. Priti Ojha today, learning about BIS and how they are doing differently. So thank you Dr. Ojha, and your thanks of note is required for us today.
Thank you so much, Ritesh. I think this has also given me an opportunity to reflect on what we are doing and it will help us and our parents to decide furthermore in future years to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you ma'am. Thank you.